The Libertarian Party believes unions have the ability to be a force for good in the economy. We support freedom of association and champion the benefits that people can achieve through voluntary cooperation and coordination. So we support the concept of unions, and we believe the real deal unions, like the fully independent, non-political Red Union, is the best way forward. But unfortunately, we cannot support the politicised and broken form of unionism that dominates Australia. Political unions like the RTBU and the ETU are not solely focused on the members. They are run by political hacks, play political games, are driven by political motivations and funnel members' money into political campaigns. Political unions undermine the genuine purpose of unions and they corrupt politics, giving us the worst of both worlds. The New South Wales colonial election in 1891 was the first that offered a parliamentary salary in the event that a candidate was elected. That incentivised a new political force to appear, the Australian Labor Party. Now, I know the myth is that the ALP was a result of the Great Shearers' Strike at that time. No, they were just responding to incentives, monetary incentives. The ALP did well in their first election, getting 20% of the vote and 35 MPs. But that was a bad day for Australian politics and Australian trade unions. It was, however, a good day for the apparatchiks of the ALP. It is the most electorally successful trade union political party in world history. Now, that is true, but it's also true that in the Westminster world, Australia has been dominated by the right-of-centre party since 1901. It's about a 75% of the time the Commonwealth has been run by non-Labor parties. Now, if you go to the UK or the US since 1901, it's almost precisely 50-50 that the Democrats and the Republicans have controlled the White House. 50, but in Australia, it's very much lopsided in the Liberal Party, and therefore bears favour because the trade union is a shackle on the centre-left party in this country. It has resulted in our centre-left party being beholden to the trade union movement. The Canadian Liberal Party and the US Democratic Party are union-friendly but not union-controlled. Surely, Madam Acting President, that is a no-brainer, that is a superior framework. I would speculate, Madam Acting President, that had all these ALP MLCs sitting across from me today been born in Canada or the US, they'd probably be members of Parliament or Congress, but they would not have used the trade union movement as a stepping stone for their political ambition. Having a major political party controlled by unions creates perverse incentives. It often means that the politically ambitious become union officials, not because they care about workers, but because they are politically ambitious. The motion in front of us is correct and the Libertarian Party will support it, but we don't do it with tremendous excitement because the real way forward is to embrace the separation of unions and the state. Stop funneling money workers into the ALP so that we can make unions great again. Union members represent about 5% of the population in Australia. And I just think it's, I'm not into the business of giving free quality advice to the Labor Party, but I really believe if you want to be more electorally successful, I would divorce the trade union movement. Thank you.
In particular, I'd like to point out the comments by the Honourable John Ruddick, and that is that what we have seen is this Faustian pact between the Labor Party and the trade union bosses. And I think that the Honourable John Ruddick had it right when he said it's time for a divorce between the Labor Party and the union bosses. And I think that he's absolutely right in saying that if only all unions were like the Red Union, a completely independent union, the Red Union. I'd like to acknowledge my good friend Jack Maguire and all the good work that he's doing over there. A truly independent union that doesn't give political donations to either side of Parliament, but stands up for genuine workers. And that's because 93% of private sector workers in this country decide not to join a trade union. 93%. Only 7% of the private sector workforce are actually members of a trade union. 5% of the population at large, as the Honourable John Ruddick said, are members of a trade union. So we stand on this side of the House with the 93% of workers who decide not to join a union. But those opposite stand with the 7% who are beholden to trade union bosses. 7% of the private sector workforce, but 100% of those opposite. They don't stand up for the workers, as the Honourable Mark Buttigeg's amendment says. They stand up for the trade union bosses. And, you know, I think what would be great in New South Wales if, you know, Genie came out of the bottle and said, Mr. Rath, you can have one wish for the public transport system. One wish for the public transport system. It can be anything, doesn't need to be realistic. The best thing that for New South Wales, for our public transport system, would be if the entire train system was completely driverless. Completely driverless. You see time and time again, every time there's an industrial dispute, the Metro 100% on time, and all of the other trains 0% on time, 10% on time, heavily delayed. Wouldn't it be great if the entire system was a Metro? And we love the Metro on this side of the house. Those opposite hate the Metro. The RTBU hates the Metro. They wish that it was never built. They wish that the Sydenham to Bankstown line was never to be converted. They want to stand up for the trade union bosses and not for ordinary commuters, because the best thing for commuters would be a completely driverless metro system. That's what we should be moving to, not standing up for the union bosses and the 7% of workers that actually join a trade union. And the only other thing I'd say, there's only one thing worse than getting donations from the RTBU and the ETU. That's getting donations from the CFMEU, which you've been doing for decades.